As well can be.
How have you been spending your time in this lockdown?
Actually, I've been busier than when I used to have a kind of a concert schedule. I'm doing household chores and then I'm doing something online, I'm doing something in the kitchen, I'm uh, doing a teaching, of course, and then usual practice and
Yeah.
kind of, building up my repertoire.
Yeah. So I think kind of more or less the sort of standard for all the musicians right now in the lockdown world.
So you're doing teaching as well.
Yeah, a little bit. I've been trying to kind of relax as much as I can, but after a certain point, then it was enough relaxing and we had to get back to work. So I also started doing the online video sessions and class sessions and whatnot, what everybody is now doing in the lockdown. What about you?
It's interesting to do that because we never would have, gone into that zone of doing. I would never have started a Sudha's kitchen or kind of in conversation with a lot of personalities. But for this downtime that I've got now, so I thought, let me do a couple of episodes, and then it gelled well with the public. So I said I'm going to continue.
Yeah, in a funny way, it's brought us closer together, not physically, but in other ways, right? Because we're all connecting now online sessions such as this, and videos and things, and live broadcasts, which is nice. You don't see a lot of musicians interacting, or the public doesn't see it, but now it's happening a lot.
Yeah, I guess technology is playing a supremely active role also in this teaching and learning, Guru Sishya relationship. I really want to start with that. I thought I was the last of the students in Guru Sishya relationship, the kind of Gurukulavasam, where
Yeah.
you actually spend a lot of time with your guru and you do all their chores and do just anything, everything. I
Yeah,
stayed
that
with her for 13 years. So,
Gurukulavasam is like you're a member of the family, right? I mean, kind of becomes like that in the traditional sense. It was not just about getting the music class or the teaching of the music per se. It was that you're part of so much more, I guess.
yeah, my guru MLV Amma was at the peak at that point of time when I kind of went into her fold. And even when, she said she would take me on as a shishya, she told my mother, she said, I won't be able to teach her kritis as such. She would have
Mm.
to learn it all by herself. That's a challenge that lies in this kind of bonding. So, is she ready for that? And I think that motivated me, and that has really equipped me with a lot of, here, when you throw the ball, you're able to catch it. Any kriti, any day that's given to me, I'm able to kind of assimilate it and put it into my uh, box.
Yeah, that's a good point. I never learned through Skype and Zoom and all of these things because I think the bulk of my learning was at a time when that was just being introduced and becoming common, but at the same time we didn't adopt that system. Um, and I'm kind of glad that I didn't do that, but now we don't have a choice in today's world. I mean, even pre-lockdown, it's become so common, and now, of course, 100% we're only doing that. My experience of learning, like when I first moved to India, of course my first guru was my mother, so Gurukulavasam is by default. You can't even, I mean, of course I'm in the house and I'm doing whatever chores my parents make me do, but even after that it sort of continued in a way that my lessons with KSK Mama, I was not going to school that year, and so it was just music, music, music. I wasn't living with him, but it was like music was consuming my life at that point. And my relationship with him was like that. I was only doing music and he knew that. So just constantly when I went for class, a lot of discussion happened, and that sort of learning continued even when I went with Sanjay sir. I learned from Sanjay Subramaniam from 1999. He also, it was a very even more so, I would say, because I spent hours in his house at a time. Even now when I go to see him, though I don't have a one-on-one class, if I just step in his house, it's sort of we don't know, it'll be minimum couple of hours of just talking about various things. And that's sort of that modern Gurukula Vasam that it adapted to. But that sort of bonding, as you say, that's exactly the right word, that it's tough to get that over just these Skype classes and Zoom sessions. I feel. I mean, it's a
I
bit
was,
unfortunate.
yeah, I was never a votary of Zoom or Skype or anything, because I thought it didn't give that fulfillment neither to the guru nor the disciple.
Yeah.
But I guess learning with MLV Amma for 13 years, when I say learning with MLV Amma, it's like living with MLV Amma, was a learning by itself, just being with her. If I did tell you that she never sat down to teach a kriti at any point of time, except for Bala Gopala.
Mm-hmm.
She would just say, I'm going to sing in Tamilisai Sangam. These are the 8 kritis that I've planned to present. That's all. And then it's up to you to get the notation, to get the recording, to sit and learn it. And then when you're on stage, it's kind of terrifying, because you don't know when she's going to stop and make you sing.
I find that so interesting. I think I definitely had lessons where I learned songs, directly from my gurus. So I don't think that I was thrown out into the deep end quite as much as you were. I mean, that is quite an experience. At the same time, I have sat on stage many times with my guru, but it was not in a vocal support role. So I was usually just listening and learning so much on the stage about the concert presentation. And so many songs would come out on stage that I'd never heard in class or at home in his house. And I'd say, oh, what is that one? Then next day I want to learn that. Or I go to the recording. So it was like sort of a modified version. But I think yours is very interesting when you say, except for Bala Gopala, which, by the way, why was that song taught to you? Any special reason?
She was just going to practice it, and then she said, "Seri, okkanduko, solli kodukren." And then she rushed through it. I mean, and she also mentioned that was the way GN sir taught her. He would just darini teluskonti, but the 8 sangatis and the pallavi would just be rattled off, and she had to notate it and just assimilate it.
And in those
days,
days,
very challenging.
In those days when she was learning, I don't think they definitely didn't have their phone with them to record the class. I don't know how they just had to remember and notate. That's, amazing, isn't it? Today, I don't think most of the students, including myself, would do that or could do that. I shouldn't pretend to be any better. In fact, I do remember one time I was back in the summers when I used to come for lessons to Chennai. I had class with Sanjay sir, and a lot of people used to come from US and other places in July and August and have their lessons. So somebody was in class who I didn't really know, and she was from the US, some other part. She was singing a very long kriti, and she was just singing it, and I was early, and I heard her sing the entire thing. And after the class was done, she left, and I, took the position to start my class. And the first thing that Sanjay sir says to me is, I just taught her that song yesterday. I said, oh, wow, that girl is really talented, And he looks at me and he goes, she's not that talented. You're just lazy. And so it was that wake-up call. I was like, okay, fine. Because I'm so bad. I would take days to learn a song. And I would say, it's okay, just start the next song. It'll also be happening. And he used to say, finish that. How many things are you going to have on that bucket list of songs to learn? It's just piling up now. So 3-4 songs he'll finish, and if I have not learned them, he'll say, don't come for class tomorrow. Learn these, and then call me when you've learned them, and then come. So then I used to get that.
Actually, when I went to MLV first, she said, this whole year, you will play the tampura for my concerts, and you will get the experience of meeting audience and, getting to know, like you said, how do you present a concert? How do you structure, or shall we say strategize, what's going to be presented to this audience?
Yeah.
Every day changes, right?
Yeah.
So I took that as a challenge. I was a little miffed about it because I said, I'm just going to play the tampura. I thought I was going to sing with her. And then I said, okay, on the side, I would sit and learn a lot of the kritis that she kept singing in the concerts.
Yeah.
And suddenly it happened that one day there was no one to give the vocal support at a wedding concert. So she said, okay, Sudha, you accompany me on vocals for this. And I did a good job. In the sense, I gave her a list of all the songs that I had already learned. And she was very happy with the way I pitched in wherever, she stopped to drink some water or take a breath. And people came after the concert and told her, புது சிஷ்யை தயார் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கீங்களா? So she was quite impressed with that statement, and she said, okay. I said 1 year, but I think you're doing a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
So you can start giving me vocal support when, the earlier disciple or whoever was already there was absent. So that was a big motivation and inspiration for me to do better and better. And that's how I think I, put all the Kriti singing together. But I must tell you that never has MLV Amma had the time, never did she have the time to really listen to any Kriti and say, at this point is not okay, or that Sangati is not completely in its space. That was something that worried me, whether I was doing the right thing, singing all of them in concerts of my own, and whether grammatically my raga alapanas were right, whether my swara prastara was shaped well. But then I guess with time I learned to accept the way that her teaching was.
Yeah, in fact, I was going to ask you, I was just thinking, as you said, it was a Gurukulavasam, and you always refer to her as Amma, MLV Amma. So there was very much like she was another mother for you, second mother. So what about some of those sort of interaction in that relationship?
There's so much to share that I don't know what to isolate and what to bring in here. But of course, there's one interesting episode. Mine was an arranged marriage, and Raghu and his mother and father, and I think one of the sisters came home to meet my parents and of course to see me. And then as it goes, I had to present a Kriti, of course, because I was a singer.
And what Kriti did you sing?
Jagam pugarum ஏழுமலை மாயவனே திருமகளர் மேல் மங்கை மணாளனே ஜெகநாதா சங்கச்சக்ரதரனே திருவடி அபயம் அபயமயா ஜெய ஸ்ரீனிவாச திருவேங்கடமுடையான் ஜெய கோவிந்த முகுந்தானந்த Srinivasa. That was it.
And they said yes.
Well, I don't know. I mean, he had a very kind of a happy smile on his face. So I thought, yes, it's going well. But then I must tell you that I had questions to ask him, because more than he had.
Okay.
Because I really wanted to make sure that my relationship with MLV Amma would stay intact. There was not going to be any kind of an obstacle about it. Because when one gets married, I guess, you get married to the family, really.
Yeah, of course.
And this family was not so familiar with what concert singing demanded. It's not just the 3 hours that you spend on stage. It's the time that you go and spend with your guru, the concerts that you sing with your guru, the concerts that you sing by yourself. It's a lot of baggage.
You have to
that
practice,
they can't see.
you have to travel, you'll be off in a corner listening to music, a lot of time that you need to focus. I know. I think for me, I was lucky because I married a dancer, so she kind of knew what to expect. But definitely there is a demand that people have to understand.
So when I went and told MLV Amma, I said, I was very hesitant, and she saw me kind of, in Tamil we say, mennu murungaradu.
Yeah.
You know that?
Yes.
Yeah, you want to say something, and then you do that, and then you want to say it again, and then you say, no, this is not the time. But then she, knowing her, that kind of intuition that she has, she said, Enna solla vara? What is it that you want to tell me? She said. I said, this happened over the weekend, and I think my parents are ready to give me away in wedlock to Raghu. So she said, what do you think about it? So I said, yes, I spoke to him and I told him that this was going to be my profession and would it be okay? And he said, yes. I said, I will also meet him. Remember, we have a concert at Krishna Sabha. So ask him to come there. And then he came. And as he walked in, she had just finished singing Panturali Ragam.
Mm.
So I just whispered in her ear, he's come. I just said that. And you won't believe it, she starts with Raghuvara. She was supposed to sing Ramanatham Bajeham.
Okay.
Actually.
Nice.
And
Okay.
I guess Raghu was happy as well. And when he came backstage after the concert,
That reminds me of how I told my guru when I was going to get married.
yes,
So,
I wanted to ask you about that. How
yeah.
did this whole thing happen? Yeah. And
Well,
before that, Sandeep, before
no,
that.
how far back? I'm not gonna go all the way back to the beginning.
Not all the way back, but partially.
Well, okay. I mean,
What was the song? Yeah, what was the song that made Radhe tell herself, this is the person?
Yeah, I don't even think there's a song. In fact, I think she's still just tolerating me and my music, to be honest. She's just like, oh, okay, I like him, whatever, it's fine. Because in the beginning, before I had even met her, she said that she had come to a couple of my concerts and she said, yeah, I liked it, but she didn't think anything that special about it.
No, but there must be one song.
No, I really don't think there's a song. In fact, when people ask her
Or at least a raga.
she actually talks about the first time she heard me sing or thought of me as a musician was when I went to Kalakshetra as part of a small play that somebody was doing, and I was singing a bit in that. She thought that when I was backstage, she apparently came, I don't even remember this, but she swears that she came and offered everybody coffee and things. She was a student at that time in Kalakshetra.
Mm.
And she says that with a very, very thick American accent, I told her I didn't want any coffee and kind of just turned away. I don't remember any of that. But she says that from then she thought I was.
So I want to hear that thick accent now.
Well,
I'm
don't
not
know.
going to let you go. It's either the song or the raga or the thick accent.
I would have just said something like, no, I'm okay. No, it's okay. Thank you very much. No, I'm all right. Fine, whatever. Like this very fast way of talking in American. You don't move your mouth very much and all the R's are like this. I would have spoken like that. Now, as you can see, I like to enunciate so that hopefully people can understand me. This is one thing I've learned. But she always tells that story. And she says, never in a million years did I ever think that I would marry you after I met you that day.
And you brushed her aside, yeah.
It was only at least a couple of years, if not more, a few years later that we re-met through common friends and started hanging out, and we were friends for a very long time before we decided to get married. But it was funny because when we did decide to get married, I told my parents, and she of course told her family. But I was very clear that we shouldn't tell anybody else until I can tell my guru. I wanted to tell Sanjay sir.
But before you get there must have been, you must have had 100 dates. And you must have sung something to her. I'm not letting you go without that.
I swear, I never used to sing to her. I honestly think if I had sung to her, she would say, what is this? Every time I meet this guy, he keeps on singing. It's enough that he sings on stage and I'm going to all his concerts. I never sang to her, but I will tell you there's probably only two people who always have been quite truthful about my concerts. One is my mother and the other is Radhe. Whereas other people will say, oh, it was good, I liked it, this and that. They'll come and tell me, I didn't like it that much today. What is this song, Ragam? I don't like that. Even today, Radhe will ask me before a concert, what are you singing today? And I'll say, I don't know, are you coming? You'll find out. And she'll say, depends. Are you singing anything I like or not? Then she'll decide.
So there is something she likes.
Well, yes. It wasn't anything that from the time that we were seeing each other before marriage. But after marriage, there's one song which she likes, which is Shanta Muleka Saukya Muledu.
Oh, it doesn't really apply to you. Maybe.
Maybe, but I know it's one song that one and Kalaitu ki nindradum devame ore Kalaitu ki. Exactly, because she's a dancer. I said you're so biased. When I sing that, she'll immediately start moving and dancing and all. I'd say you're thinking of Chidambaram. That's not fair. So
You know what Raghu likes very much? Ennennamo solli ennai mayakki vittu annam paalum verukka Alaya vaitharadi annam palum virukka. He has that nice macho feeling when I sing this.
Nice. So can I fast forward?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely fast forward.
You got it out of me. Somehow you got it out of me. So no, but I will not forget at that time that I wanted to tell Sanjay sir he was not in town. And so I said, no, I have to wait for him to come. I want to go visit him and tell him. No, I don't want to tell him on the phone. So he came back. It was like 4 days later. We hadn't told anybody. We told our family strictly, don't tell anyone. I don't want it leaking out. I went to visit him and I said, nobody was home except for him. I said, where is Arti? Where are the kids? No, they've gone out. Why? I said, okay, I have something to tell you. And, I'm getting married. And he was so ecstatic. He said, is it to who I think it is or something like that? Or no, I think Arti might have said that. He was just so excited. He immediately said, that's great. And, he like kind of almost jumped up and he was so happy for me. And then we spoke a little bit about that, and then the topic changed, and we were just discussing something after that. After a few minutes, Arti came. After 10-15 minutes, Arti walked in the house, and of course, as soon as she walks in, he immediately is looking at her, and he wants me, I'm mid-sentence, he wants me to just tell her, but I'm just telling him something, so I want to finish. And he just says, tell her, Arti, guess what? And he's like, tell her. I'm like, yeah, okay, of course I'm going to tell her. Then I tell her, like, I'm getting married, and I think then she says, oh, is it to who we think it is? And I just kind of like smiled and I said, yes, it is. And they had seen me with her. She used to come to concerts. She used to come with me to his concerts and sit with me. Right. So then they knew, they figured something is up. And so they were like so excited. In fact, I remember that I had a tour starting that fall, and this was sometime earlier in the year. So I said, I think I'll finish the tour, and sometime before season or just after season, we'll have the wedding. And he said, why are you waiting so long? You're engaged. Just get married. And so we ended up getting married before my tour, within 4 or 5 months of deciding. And it was like that. And that was the power of the guru, or the relationship of the guru, I should say, Slightly switching gears kind of makes me think of this sort of situation that we are in today with the way we perform versus how artists of that generation of our earliest recordings, what we can relate to, what we have listened the most of, G and Sir, Semmangudi Mama, MLV, and then the subsequent generations from there. Their presentation was so different, and they didn't even have the technology we had today. They didn't have the microphones, the speaker systems, the feedback monitors, everything we had. The frequency with which they performed was different. I mean, sometimes I wonder, this is a big advantage that we have things like microphones and all that, but how were they able to sing so open-throated? And I don't feel like they had as many voice-related issues. They didn't, today you find most artists have some voice strain here and there. They have to take a break. They have to, focus on that, getting the voice back, especially when we have music. December season happens. You find, unfortunately, a handful of musicians almost every year will have to cancel a couple of concerts here and there. And that's just the reality of the situation. How is that? How did they do that back then? You know what I mean? Like, it's amazing. You don't hear much about them having those issues that we have today.
Yeah, I mean, you've heard of Madhura Somasar sing for 6 hours, 5 hours. He starts midnight and goes into the dawn. All the Kovil concerts, the temple concerts. It's just like playing the Nadaswaram. You just go on and on and on and sing every Ghanaraga possible. And people would be there to stay till the end of the concert. That was also important.
Yeah, of course.
But then, as you said, the voice, it was always, they depended and believed in their own natural voice. Never did they think that, the microphone was a prop that they would have to depend on. Whereas I think now, all of us in our mind think, yes, the microphone should be good today, audio level should be good, my monitors should bring my voice out, the level of accompanying artists with my own singing has to be balanced. See, that causes a tension by itself, a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean,
if you depended, if you only said, I'm just going to go and sing. I mean, there is a microphone. I'm going to use the best possible. Then I think the anxiety is not there, and you're able to perform just creatively, just without that worry whether I'm being heard, whether the balance is right, whether the bass is right, whether the highs, mids. These are the words that you use today.
It's almost too much technology, right? The technology has kind of crept in to the point where we're trying to get it so perfect that maybe we're focusing too much on it, and it's kind of like maybe we just need to ignore 50% of that stuff and just go back to that focus which we spend there, to just completely go back to the music and say, you know what, I'm just going to sing, I'm just going to do my thing. If I'm an instrumentalist, I'm just going to play, and let's see what happens, and let the music or the art speak for itself. It's tough. It's sort of that balance of both, but it's just an interesting thing.
Sorry, I just wanted to tell you that are we depending on voice culture, voice therapy, voice training too much? I never remember ML Rima having used those words at all. They were given a voice and they used the voice to perfection, to its ultimate point. I really believe that. See, Somo sir, look at his voice. Semmangudi Mama, GN sir, Alathur brothers, Ramnath Krishnan. I'm just mentioning a few. Brinda Amma, MS Amma, DKP Amma. See, all of them had a unique voice, a unique style. When they sang a particular kriti, you would say, yes, this is DKP Amma, this is DKJ.
Very much, and it was not always dependent on the voice texture. They all had such varying voice textures. Some, you could say, were better than others. Okay, in a very subjective way, there would be an audience which said, oh, I prefer this voice to that voice. But you would find somebody with not a traditionally great or aesthetic sounding voice, naturally, was still able to be the top of the top. I mean, it was not such a big issue, I think. And as you say, today we talk about voice culture and conditioning and all that. That's sort of where the trend is going. It's going in that direction. Maybe it's due to the fact that there's more recordings coming out, and with that technology, people are a little bit more concerned, hey, this is going to be listened to for next 50, 100 years or something. Maybe back then they weren't thinking so much about that, because that was just the beginning of the recording as a standard practice. Maybe because today we record every single concert, and not just us. Everybody in the audience is recording, right? So we are a little bit more concerned, I think, with that sound. Let's take, for example, Semmangudi Mama and GN Sir. They both had varying vocal textures. Semmangudi Mama had a very unique vocal texture. But Semmangudi Mama is Semmangudi Mama. You don't question, his singing is just, oh, that's Semmangudi Srinivasa. There's a stamp there that people today are still emulating. GN Sir's texture was so different, but there's something there that people today are still emulating. And they're so different. They were in the same generation, but both of them were at the top. I mean, those are the top people, amongst others, but you could take those two out, out of the group there.
Sandeep, why don't we listen to both of them right now?
Yes, absolutely. I have a couple of clips. I'll play that, starting with Semmangudi Mama, just a short Kalyani Aalapana.
that? There's no ambiguity at all.
No.
Just the very first phrase, brings out the Kalyani. And
That
how
all-
he lands on the Shajam. Huh?
That
All the
opening
phrases.
phrase, I always tell students, I'm like, don't start a ragam with you just know the scale. You have to know that ragam and make it clear. And violin follows up. It's like those two really quintessential phrases right there. I mean, that's like such a signature of these senior artists. I mean, that's the...
And this is a perfect, example for students who want to know how to sing a raga. You
Yes.
can't write out the phrases for them, right? This listening, repeated listening, will bring this into their system. And then they have to kind of do their own riyaz and practice and bring it out.
I always tell them that when something like this is there, just break down the phrases and repeat. First, repeat those phrases to
Yes.
the best of your ability. It may not have that clarity, but you just have to repeat it. Repetition is the key then to build on that and go to the next step of your own creativity coming in. And where do you place those things? So you kind of get the puzzle pieces and you don't know how to piece it together. But first you need to have the pieces to the puzzle. How do you get that? Only by sort of grabbing these things from these recordings.
I even asked them to do the phrasing, with swaras.
Yeah. One of the first things I remembered when you said that is that KSK Mama used to teach me Alapana like that. Because that was when I was just starting Manodharma. And he used to say, okay, I was recording, so he would say, I'm going to sing the swaram and you repeat as Alapana. So that you can match those things and get that idea of associating the swaram with an akaram. And that they're one and the same. So like, so also the mind should then immediately translate those swarams to akaram or akaram to swarams. Those exercises he used to do with me when I was just like 11, 12 years old. I mean, it's still in my mind.
Now, do you relate to the fact why our first gurus used to ask us to do Akara Sadhagam?
Yeah, and I always tell my students and my mom's students, they all stop. After Sarli Varse, all that stuff is done, you start, I'm on Varnam.
It's
finished
boring.
I'm finished with Sarli Varse and Geetam. I know Varnam, I know Kirtana, I know Swarajati. And I'm like, that's good, go back. Get that book out and go back to page 1.
Because it's boring for them. They think they've passed that stage, as you say. I have graduated. So why should I go back to that?
And then the key, the way that I get them to sort of realize that they have not graduated anything is when I say, go back to page 1 and tell me the exercise. And then I say, oh, you sang it in Maya Malavagaula and Shankara Bharnam. Now sing it in some Vivadi Ragam, sing it in Rasika Priya, sing it in Kanakangi. Then they're like, what, how? And then I say, okay, even in Maya Malavagaula or even in Kalyani, you take any Ragam like that. Now sing it in a faster speed. And then they sit up and they say, oh, okay. I said, yeah, you've not graduated.
And even the other jumps.
Oh, yeah.
Those are all the important ones.
Absolutely.
And singing those in Akaram. Now they even ask us to sing in Ikaram and Okaram.
Yeah.
To open up the jaw. There's a lot. I mean, you can just keep on learning and improvising.
Yeah, so much stuff.
Shall I play
a little more of Semmangudi Mama?
Tadadina
How he weaves around the sa. MLVM used to say, மேலையும் கீழையும் போகக்கூடாது. அங்கே இங்கே, it should not run up, come down. It should be systematic. See how he weaves his phrases around the Shadjam. And then brings the bhava with the jarus. That little swerve, that adds so much of aesthetic completeness to the raga.
Yeah, and it's such a contrast to the way he begins that section. It gives a complete feel because it's like lot of very aggressive, that heavy style. But then it ends with it's a dense, sort of a sliding circular way of coming down. It's this perfect finish to that initial start. It's a very different way, and that gives that wholesome feeling. In fact, I feel he probably didn't plan that, I'm going to do this like this. It just came. It just comes like that.
And you haven't edited this part, right? So
No.
From Pamagarisani, he suddenly goes to Tarasthai.
Yeah.
So he feels the Kalyani of that particular day, of that particular concert, it's enough if I do this. It's not necessary to keep doing every phrase, every swara, like how we do it. We think it's a compulsive effort to stand on the nishadam, to go touch the na na da na da da da. If I don't do that in Kalyani, I feel it's incomplete. But listening to this Kalyani opens my, that eye of ignorance
I
to
think
the point that...
Yeah. No, I think you nailed it on the head because 100%, I'm being completely honest, it never struck me that he doesn't land on the nishadam and sing those...
Exactly.
Which you would always find in a Kalyani Alaapana today, or with most artists. It never struck me that he didn't do that until you just said, he jumps from the pa to the sa. You don't feel anything is missing.
Exactly.
It's amazing. I'm just going to continue, yeah.
Sadari Hari na la la ya
now he shows that. The thing for me that stands out there is he's using that nasal quality of his natural voice to his advantage. To give that little bit of a push. It's amazing. He's actually using it to his advantage.
It makes it easy for him. Actually, you should use the nasal.
Yeah.
That's what voice therapists say. You should use the nasal a bit. Think you're singing from here. Well, I mean, it comes naturally to him without even having to manipulate it.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's really an amazing part. I think just a little bit more and then he sort of finishes up a little bit of the ragam. I'll just finish it. So there.
Length doesn't matter. Yeah, it's not
like,
the time of raga that you sing. Not 15 minutes, not the 12 minutes, but just the 3-4 minutes has brought out Kalyani. That paripurnatvam, right? The fulfillment of having listened to a raga.
And I mean, amazing. Just even the last Sangati, which just played right there. It's like so unexpected and such a nice way of coming down. And I mean, I don't know. It's so natural too. You know, it's amazing that it made me think, listening to these old recordings makes me think that today, do a lot of people plan the Alapana too much because we're so worried about, oh, the next Sangati has to fit the previous Sangati, and I don't want the audience to think that it's not a whole image of that ragam. I sometimes feel that we even start an Alapana or go through an Alapana with a little overthinking, you could say.
Yes. I think they, kind of swam in the raga. Kind of swimming. Yeah. Whereas we are trying to stay afloat, thinking, this should happen in this raga. These phrases should come in. Oh my, I have to sing a little bit of brigai, sprinkle it with some speech sangatis. Too much planning, pre-thinking, as you said. Yes.
Yeah.
I think we should just let it go. Yeah.
But at the same time, I think the difference is that they, as you say, they were just swimming, and you could say they were out in the ocean, but they knew the course. Naturally, they went the right way. They took the course to get to the destination. I think a lot of people sometimes are afraid that they won't reach the destination, so we're scared of what path we're taking, and we have to plan that out. I think that we just have to just dive in there, and I think that we'll get there, and through experience or growth, an artist will just get that.
Yeah, I think it's the faith and hope.
Shall I play? There's a recording of
Yes, of course. I'm waiting for that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll listen to a very different style, but equally amazing artist here. So
the first thing that strikes you, tell me what that is. Semmangudi Mama landed on the Shajjam, whereas G.N. Sir is standing on the Rishabham. Yes.
And a very such a different opening to Kalyani. But I was not confused. I mean, there's no confusion. It's so different, but still it's Kalyani. I think that's like amazing, different flavor of it.
And can you see the flamboyance in the style? There's a fashion to it. I don't know how to say that. There's an edge to it that he has added.
Unfortunately, I never had the chance of seeing G.N. Sir or live, and Semmangudi Mama only very late in his life I saw a couple of times. But I picture, based on pictures of G.N. Sir, I picture like, ta-na, and there's sort of like this cool swagger of like, ta-na, and then just let the violin play a little bit and fill that air with the Kalyani. Ta-na-na. So like it's like really cool the way it just ends on that re and then there's a gap. Yeah, that's what I feel.
That pause is very important actually.
Yeah.
My guru used to keep saying that pause is so important. It shouldn't be too long, it shouldn't be too short.
Yeah.
But necessary because the audience has to take that in, absorb it. that ma there.
Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't, after ga, you would go to pa normally.
Yeah.
But the different thinking, because I think he was an artist who did use a different style of thinking.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It was, I don't know how people reacted at that time, maybe after coming out of one of his concerts, if they thought, what was that? Or did they think, wow, that's amazing? I don't know. But today, when we listen to it, we're like, wow, that's so different than what else we were hearing at that time, those set of recordings. I think even in the next part, it's an amazing usage of the Madhyamam. I just want to play the next part as well.
I believe that people thought he brought in a whiff of fresh air.
Ah, okay.
That's what I heard.
He comes back to Mark. So
See, that's his style. He's like an architect. And he builds on that.
I also noticed, and I think it'll come up in the next clip as well, something very distinct in G and Sir's style, that there was always, you go to a note, but you constantly are showing the previous notes almost either as a tail or it's coming and building it. Like you said, our architect. So you've got the foundation and you're constantly reminding that that foundation is there. And this roof is only there because there's a wall below it. There's a floor below it. It's like you can picture the ragam being built like bricks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's the pieces of the building are going together. So you kind of see that. I'll just keep.
Did you see that he's anchoring on the nishadam?
Yeah.
And I think that Sangati was very kind of typical GNB.
Hmm. KSK Mama used to actually say that G and Sir invented those brigas. He used to actually use the word invent because he would say a lot of the brigas people didn't sing it before, and he would say when I heard G and Sir sing some of these things, it was the first time, you know. And he would say that actually, like almost like composing a kirtana. He would say he composed that briga, you know, because it was just something that came for G and Sir that wasn't there before.
It's very difficult to get the swaras for the brigas.
Mm.
How do you swarapartify that?
Yeah, you can't. And I remember even when I was young, if I'm trying to put swarams, you'll just think like, nee, nee. It's just nee. But there's so many sort of, nee, sari, sa, ni, nee. But in that speed, it's just nee. Do you notice?
I have no words.
I
have no words.
Then I shouldn't say anything for sure. But I just felt, so I've listened to this recording many times, and every time he goes from the ni to the sa, he always comes back. He's teasing that sa, I feel like. He doesn't land on the sa, and I almost feel like the violinist is like, oh, I thought you're landing there and is ready to hold that sa, but he keeps on coming back, and then he even comes all the way like na, and he gives that Daivatam Gamakam, and that's very unexpected to me there, and it's just like really beautiful. Finally,
It's
he
like
goes
he's
and lands on a
preparing the
sa.
audience. He prepares the audience for the tear that starts from Sa. So,
Yes, yes.
he brings them together. Yes, it's coming. Yes, it's coming. And then he lands.
It's like, it's
he
coming, it's
builds up the
coming. Are you all
grandeur.
with me?
Yeah.
A few of you are straggling. You're not with me. Okay, get with me. Let's get on the same page now. Let's go. He doesn't jump there, because if you jump there, a lot of listeners will be like, hey, suddenly this sa is coming. Where did it come from? He just takes
That's why
them
I
with
use the
him.
word architect.
Yes.
Because he builds it. He literally builds it. If you close your eyes and visualize this raga, the way it's gone, it's like a little edifice. Small, little beautiful structure.
Yeah.
Let's listen.
There's I feel a lot of Hindustani influence in some of the way he grabs it, but he sings it in a Carnatic way, And I think a lot of people used to say he did have an affinity for a lot of Hindustani music, and he brought a lot of ragams like Gavati, and he used to sing Durga, which were not really prevalent before that. But if you notice, they say Bakra Bol in Hindustani music that sounds like a goat.
Yeah.
So he sings that. He'll jump from the low.
Only because he uses that kind of a voice usage is he able to go with such speed.
Yeah.
If you put all the pressure on the voice, then the speed slows down. I think he developed a very unique style of presenting that.
Yeah.
And it's pure voice exhibitionism.
It's this explosion, though. It's like an explosion of the voice. It's an explosion of Sangatis. Because see how he's singing at that speed, which you can't even... What speed do we say first speed, second speed, third speed? There's no number for that. This is just superhuman speed. And it's just it's a flurry. It's a fireworks. It's just one after another. I mean...
And it's not even a pause to think, will I be able to do it? He's just doing it.
And I always picture fireworks, because you don't need to think, you don't have the time to think between Sangati to Sangati, but one is just adding on the next one, and it's just this beautiful image in front of you. You don't think about, oh, that one was there, this one was here, that's Sangati. It's just coming at you like at a point where you're in that world with him. You're in that zone with him.
And the supreme confidence.
Yeah, of course.
Supreme confidence.
Of course,
yeah.
of course.
Listening to these two powerhouses has been so stimulating. I want to stay with that for a while. Really, not get out of that Kalyani zone. At the same time, I have to run to do some chores now, Sandeep.
Yeah, wow, it's been an hour. I didn't even realize the time went by. But I do have more I want to discuss with you, so let's talk again soon.
Again?